Halo jump is a sequence Tom and I have been talking about for a number of years.
Tom will be the first actor to do a halo jump on camera.
Halo jump is high altitude, low open.
Military jump out 25,000 feet.
Opening a chute below 2,000 feet.
And sneak into a foreign country without being detected. That's the idea of Halo.
There's a lot of risks in going to 25,000 feet.
The audience can tell when something's been cheated, so it's important to be doing it all for real.
There's dangers of hypoxia and the bends.
You start losing your mind, but you don't realize it.
We had to develop a special helmet that is both a prop and a life-saving device. The first phase of the Halo sequence was building a wind machine that was large enough for us to be able to rehearse. So we built one of the world's largest wind tunnels. No one thought it would require over 100 jumps to get the scene.
We needed the UAE. Had they not stepped in, we would not have been able to accomplish the sequence.
We've been doing 5 jumps a day out of the Twin Otter. In the afternoons, we'll do 3 C-17 jumps, and it's challenging.
We're shooting a nighttime sequence.
The light has to be perfect. We only get 1 shot a day.
We have to shoot it as close to sunset as we can, so we have exactly 3 minutes every day to get the shot. You can't just get on the plane and go. You have to spend 20 minutes on the ground breathing pure oxygen so that you don't get decompression sickness. The plane has to climb to 25,000 feet. All of the lighting turns from white to red. You're talking about Tom jumping out of a plane that's traveling at 165 miles an hour. Falling at 200 miles an hour, and he's to position himself so that he lands exactly 3 feet away from the camera with 20,000 feet beneath him. The risk of a mid-air collision we were really concerned about.
There's always a ticking clock in filming a movie, but it's not usually the Earth flying up towards you.
Thank you. Nice one. Boom. I can't wait for an audience to see this.
I still can't believe we got it.
That is the core Mission Impossible team.
The team is reunited, but also new elements have been reintroduced which create a much bigger threat that they've never faced before.
I don't trust anybody outside of this room.
This is the CIA's mission. You use a scalpel. I prefer a hammer.
Henry Cavill is something of a wild card.
The way the IMF and the way Hunt looks at him is like he's the enemy because he's being forced upon the team.
He's not just some observer. He's an assassin.
That's the job.
McHugh and Tom have put together a symphony of actors.
Rebecca Ferguson is returning, so I like the fact that Ilsa is a match for Ethan.
The journey that Ethan Hunt and his team go through, there's huge stakes.
Which way, Benji? Turn left! Go, 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 go! What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window! Oh, sorry. Good luck.
None of this has ever been attempted before.
Flying a helicopter takes a lot of skill. To put someone like Tom into a situation like this is almost impossible to imagine.
He came to me and he said, we're going to go to Airbus and we're going to learn how to fly a helicopter and be a 2,000-hour pilot in a very short period of time.
It takes something like 3 months of 8-hour days just to become a novice helicopter pilot. Tom needed to work around the clock to reach the level of skill this sequence needs.
There are very few students that have his level of dedication and focus.
Fly safely? Thank you. While most aerial chases you'll see from a helicopter, we don't usually turn the cameras in. So we've developed these rigs over the last couple of months where we can basically hard mount cameras to show that Ethan Hunt is flying the helicopter without anybody else.
Every camera position has been designed so that you can see that Tom is doing everything himself.
It's super important for a movie like Mission to be doing it all practically and for real. Tom doesn't want to sit in a green screen. The audiences can tell when something's been cheated.
First time we're doing it, gonna work our way in. Make safe, Tom. Make it safe. All right, come on in, guys.
For safety, all the pilots get together in the morning and they discuss very clearly where they're going to be and what their positions are for every shot.
I'm going to look down and I'll take it over the waterfalls. I enter it right away.
Let's go. Back up, friends. Head to your helicopter.
The most dangerous part of the aerial sequence is really that there's more than one helicopter in the air.
We have 13 helicopters in the production. The ones on camera doing aerobatics just a few feet from each other. It's pretty wild.
Throughout the entire sequence, they all have to maintain visual contact. And then there's Tom. He's the pilot, he's acting, and he's the camera operator.
We're rolling and ready when you are, Tom. Copy that.
The scariest part was the 360 downward spiral.
Okay, so let's climb up and I'll dive down.
Most pilots wouldn't attempt this.
The corkscrew turn is very challenging for a pilot.
I'm going to brake to the left.
It takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice.
We're good, we're rolling.
You make a mistake, somebody's going to die from it.
Whoa! I'm going to go.
And each spiral looks like he's going to crash.
God. Pitch. Whoa. That's what I want. How was that, McHugh? Very upsetting here. Well, I guess that's a trend. Absolutely.
I love them. I think for me they still work because they're exciting and I know what to expect, but I equally as much get blown away by the stunts that I'm now a part of and I even know are going to happen. I still get blown away. Character development, bloody intoxicatingly scary stunts, and some kind of a motor race, motorcade, car, bicycle, I don't know, scooter race. Yes. I think that's what we should do for the next one, by the way. What are they called? Segways? No. What are they called, the things that you stand on? Yeah, we should have a Segway race through Denmark. I feel inspired because I always have a backup team. I have stunt doubles. I have other people who can always jump in and do what I can do. And I think that's what pushes me to be able to do it and challenge it myself. But then also there are scenes that I don't do. I don't do the motorbike racing through Paris because it's bloody dangerous. And Jenny is the world's best motor driver, so she does it. But it's one of the most incredible things of being a part of this franchise is having the possibility of challenging yourself. And being terrified and actually doing it. That's why I love it. He is bloody fast. God, he can run. Okay, Tom is fast, but he's bloody funny. He's fun to be with. He is and on top of things. He's superhuman.
think that was a good one.
Are they doing anything different?
They were going, well done, Ethan, well done, Ethan.
Why Ethan?
Because that's his name in the films.
Oh, okay. Are they dead?
I think so, yeah.
Way to go, guys. Come on, everybody, great job. Attention! This was an impossible day, and you have proved that nothing is impossible with Mission Impossible. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Amazing job. Incredible. Nobody is ever going to believe you did it. No. They can call me. They can call me and I'll tell them.
There's amazing French locations and lock-up team.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Locations, lock-up, ADs, incredible. All right.
That's a wrap, everybody. Thank you. Great day. Say the word, William. Ready. And 3, 2, 1,
whereas if they're coming towards you as you wing
Well,
over.
let's do it that way. Let's do it with. I'm formatting on top.
Yep.
We've already got the earlier piece. So
Now they could just give you a cue and say 3, 2, 1.
It's nice coming over and counting these things. I can go slower, you know.
It's a reversible.
This is Alfie.
Exactly.
It's almost good if Alfie places.
Yeah, Alfie, you just give me.
Walk.
Now watch this. Watch this. You come up.
Yeah.
Now I look at Henry. Henry looks at me. He goes back and he gets his gun.
Right.
I don't, you know, and all that time, and I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? And then he points the gun at me. That'll be one pass. Yep. We'll get all that in one pass.
Okay.
You should take his cue off Henry. As soon as you see Henry getting ready in the door, go. Because Tom's going to bail.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go low over the water. You'll be behind us.
I'm behind like this.
Okay.
Chasing.
You tell us to
over.
go. Here are the falls.
Yep.
Okay. You call it. We'll go over the falls. Boom. I go over the falls to the right, and you chase me down.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, back this way. Back this way. You owe me a beer.
If you notice this,
I did. I check it I check it all the time.
clean.
I know it because that's a beer. you can tell I'm a mercenary, aren't you?
Yes.
When you're by yourself, you're down the center line, and even when you burn the fuel off, you stay down in the center the entire time.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
check, TC.
Yep. Let's go play.
Be safe, sir, yeah?
Always. Thank you.
Of course.
My friend.
I'll see you in the sky.
Thank you. We'll see you there.
Have fun.
Always. I think that's good, guys. Thank you. What I want to do is I want to get the seat belts.
Okay.
I've got a camera, some balls.
I changed the angle of the pitch of the motor. So fine, great. And yes.
That motor was totally stable.
Great. Okay.
Great job. Yes, sir.
We have control of the cameras again.
How is this move here? You got a 70. Can we go down?
Exactly.
It's just going to move like that.
Down, yeah. So we'll pick you up as you come up. We'll be tilting up with you as you come up to the skids.
But that's a 27 mil, that's not a 70 mil.
27, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody, good back goes. Houston, good back goes. And action. Got it.
Thank you.
Watch that way.
Get in here, Rebecca.
I want to be close enough so that you see the helicopter and the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I mean? Low enough that you see both in a long lens, and then you see it's me.
Yeah. We've got a bit of rotor wash.
So tip down a little bit. Don't tip up too much. Keep his feet in there.
His feet are in the
IMAX.
I know they're in the IMAX. Okay, I see what you're going for.
So listen. Good.
Look, Tom, look at this, dude. That's you, and that's where I was just like, wide now. Let me see more of the helicopter.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I could see you very clearly, and we can always punch in.
Yeah.
They could just be back like a little bit.
Yep, I agree.
Like a proper.
This is good on the 14. Right?
Yeah.
I mean the 24.
Like I'm looking
okay, good.
up and over.
That's good. If you're looking in that direction when you fall.
Believe me, I will. I'll be like this, and then boom, when I fall, I'll be like, I'll reach in and grab him.
Great. Then we'll be fine. That camera will get it.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the thing. I'm going to make sure that this is not blocking my face with this camera.
Frame.
I already kind of checked it a little bit. I'm gonna have it back, and then I'm gonna take my leg out, and I'm gonna kick up like that. When my foot touches the skid, I'll drop back like this, and I'll be like, oh, try to look at the camera as I'm going down.
I promise you will know it's you.
Yeah.
And then if we don't sail too far away, we'll lose signal.
Really
The other thing is, if we don't, it's good if there's a danger of losing. The further we go, with more danger of losing
that
signal.
time, it's the turns. So if we do it on the straight,
But we shouldn't have to go so far away.
Yeah.
When you're standing out here on the skid,
Yeah.
because there's no
Yeah.
rope, there's
Yeah.
no, and you look like you're just gonna pitch right off.
Yeah.
And when you did the turnaround,
Yes.
I thought you were gonna eat it.
Yeah.
It was great. It's actually scarier than the fall.
Good luck, Henry.
Stay back. That's great. Make up costume here and go back to base. Thank you, my friend. Boss, that was awesome. Bravo. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. Awesome, guys.
Drop zone control, clear, drop over.
That was really good.
Perfect.
Nice job.
Everything was perfect. All you got to do is, once you're there, just maintain it.
Well done.
I really do.
That's what we want to do.
I think Craig nailed it.
Right-hand tower, that's the last stop for the day, and thanks for your help.
I'm going to pull it off for me. Great jump. Good. Thank you. You guys are training me really well. We're accomplishing here. You know what? I think it was excellent. I think we really... We'll take a look at the footage, you know, that's what it always comes down to. But I have to say, I think it went exceedingly well. Everyone did their job. These guys, you know, were training and setting up and drilling, and I think this has really worked. But we'll see the take. That take never lies. That was a year's work to figure that shot out. Craig came in and really just crushed it. Skydive team, guys, props. Guys, got us there last night. I'm going to show you this take. Put us right there at the perfect time. The lighting was excellent. Alex did a great job. Where's Alex? Is he here? Great job. Great job. Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And working with those guys on the plane, did a hell of a job. Absolutely, guys, nailed it. Okay? Everything's got to come together for us to be able to get just that. And it was quite an accomplishment. Lighting, everything you guys did. So I really appreciate it. Everyone. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. The journey that Ethan Hunt and his team go through, it is an odyssey, and definitely inspired and reflective of that story. It's an epic tale. It's a personal tale, and there's incredibly huge stakes, emotional stakes, I think, for the characters. I just love working with McHugh, and the way that he approached this, he said, I'm going to honor Mission Impossible, I'm going to direct this like I'm another director, and he did it. He really, the visual style is different. It still has his, I think it has his bold sensibility of storytelling, kind of, Mission is a tougher mission, you know, it's not less entertaining, but it's just got, it's I think we just pulled out all the stops. As I said, all the missions have led to this one, and McHugh, he's a very elegant filmmaker, and he's a classic filmmaker. But I love his wit. I love the toughness of the movie and the characters, and it's just a beautiful movie. I can't wait for eyes to see it. I'm so, proud of my friend, and when I look at the movie, I'm going through it, I'm like, McHugh, look, I mean, he really is just enormously talented, and it's always such a joy to work with him. The Mission Impossible team, it's going to be Rebecca Ferguson, who plays Ilsa, but really, the core team is going to be Simon, myself, and Ving. That is the core team, and that is the core Mission Impossible team. And Ilsa is, I can't really say that Rebecca is, you have to see the movie, but you'll see what happens with Rebecca's character. But that is the core mission team, and Alec Baldwin as the secretary. Each actor, I think, is very charismatic, very dynamic, and I'm interested in all their stories. And when I see them all together, I lean into that story, and that's what I want out of a movie. That I want an audience to experience, that on screen. As some of my favorite movies is like you just have a group of great actors just hitting their stride, and that's something that I know McHugh and I work very hard on and think about, and it's really what we love about movies and storytelling. Simon Pegg came on, and we had him on MI3, and I loved, I saw him in, Shaun of the Dead, and basically I was like, this guy, and JJ and I were like, this guy's fantastic, and he came in and did, like a day or two on MI3, and look at the progression of his character. And then when McHugh came in, and then Brad Bird, we wanted to bring Simon back. Ilsa's, of course, the character's inspired name from, Casablanca, one of our favorite characters and actresses, and it just so happened that, when Rebecca, we were like right down to the wire, and luckily, we found her, and she came in and read and was incredible. And you just see what a dynamic presence she has, very charismatic and athletic, and just, I think, just uniquely holds the screen. I work with people that I admire, people that I respect, and I love these actors, and I love them in these characters. And for Ving as Luther, Ving and I are really the ones that go all the way back to the beginning. And it's interesting with Ving, because Ving came on, I met him, and I loved his work. I said, well, you and I, really got to work with you. There's just something there, and I think that, when you see that story and how it's, just layered through all of the movies, really, and even in, and this one, he's got a great part, and there's a great dynamic with Ving Rhames in this one, and him playing Luther. There's something about when he plays that character, it's so engaging and surprising to me. We talked about emotion in this one because I think it is a culmination of all the missions, this one. And you can't have that emotion without bringing Julia back in. And, I mean, to have Michelle back, I just think her work is incredible. And I can't wait for audiences to see what she's done, to just have her back and see she's really exceptional. Her work is exceptional. And again, just a wonderful person, very, very talented. So that's what we wanted. We wanted to bring that back, and that's what I talk about in terms of all the missions leading to this one. Henry was so helpful and so professional throughout. Like I said, I get to work with people that I really respect, that I want to work with, and I've enjoyed his work also in the past. I just thought this guy is really talented, and he came to this film and he really brought it. People will see in this movie he was He is pulling no punches and not holding anything back, and he's very committed. And the things that we're able to do that I appreciate, you know, the whole helicopter sequence, it's practical. So, you know, there's stuff that he had to do. He had to be in that other helicopter, and we're flying around, and it was, I'm telling you, it was freezing when we were flying around in New Zealand. And the things that we were doing, it was extreme. And he just went for it. Angela Bassett, I just remember seeing her on screen. You just go, this woman is powerful. She just exudes intelligence, power, credibility, and that character that I just, you know, McHugh wrote for her. I love it, and she crushes it. When she's on screen, she's a force of nature, and again, just wonderful, wonderful woman, and I loved working with her every day. It's a love letter to Paris and London, always a love letter to London, great locations there. Norway, beautiful locations in Norway. India, and also we shot in New Zealand, the helicopter sequence in New Zealand, beautiful country. We could not have gotten that helicopter sequence without the help of New Zealand. We could not have shot in Paris without all the help of the Parisians, or the skydiving sequence that we shot with the UAE military. So we shot there also, and it is definitely the scope of the film is enormous, and I think the story wants that. And so these beautiful locations that we went to, and every time it was like Norway, we're climbing the side of a mountain. It's quite extreme. And you know, of course, London, we had the foot chase in London. New Zealand was the helicopter sequence we shot. I mean, I was inches away from sides of cliffs and right on the tail of Henry's helicopter, and we were going hard there. It was very intense, very extreme, as I know an audience will experience. And we shot in Abu Dhabi, and we had the UAE military, where we're able to jump out of a C-17 and do a halo jump from there, very high up, and a sequence that is quite extreme. To do things practically, to apply it, how can we immerse an audience into an environment, into a story, into a character, and then put them in extreme action and do it practically? There's something, whether an audience realizes it or not, there's just something different about when you're watching it, when you're seeing it. That's always something that I'm trying to push myself in every way, to use everything that I have, my talent, my physical ability. It does make a difference. It's something about it that, and as time goes on, you know, it's interesting looking at a Mission Impossible trailer, you put it up against other trailers, and it's just different. It just has a different, you know, different look, a different vibe, and that's what I want to give an audience. A halo jump is a high altitude, low opening. That's what it means, that it's a jump where you're jumping from a very, very high altitude and you open very low. So this sequence basically takes place over Paris. We're at very high altitude, above 35,000 feet, and we're opening just above the Grand Palais. And we're doing that so that the aircraft that we're in looks like a commercial airliner, and they don't know that we're military and we're jumping into the Grand Palais, and that's why the halo jump. The halo sequence is something McHugh and I talked about for a long time, and we were told on numerous occasions that it's impossible what we were thinking, and it's never going to happen, and we were like, okay. So basically what McHugh did is he designed the sequence, and also the sequence takes place at night as the sun has set. So essentially we realized we have a 3-minute window upon which I jump out of the air. We do the scene inside the aircraft and jump out, and then I have to fly down and be within 3 feet of the lens, because he's pulling focus, which is something that's never been done before in the air, because he's using a film camera. He's having to pull focus while he's also skydiving, and I'm skydiving down to him, and I have to be within 3 feet of him. 3 feet, not 2.5, not 3.5. It has to be 3 feet because of the depth of field, because of the light and the lens that we were using. And there was just also the thing that I needed to train in skydiving, extreme training, because the sequence is incredibly grueling. It's very technical. It's very dangerous, to be honest. And so, with all that said, we ended up just pushing it to the end of the schedule. It was a very long schedule, and constantly for me, I'm not only acting in the movie and producing the film, I'm doing all my own stunts in there and all my own action in there, from motorcycles, cars, skydiving, helicopter, and constant kind of physical training throughout the day. So we shot this at the end of the movie. I finished the film, went to Abu Dhabi, and luckily the United Arab Emirates really stepped up and helped us. They said, we will give you our C-17. We will help you accomplish this, because we have a great relationship when I climbed the Burj there in Dubai, and they love movies, and they knew what it was we were trying to accomplish, and they wanted to be part of it. And I'm very grateful to them. They allowed us to use their C-17. So then we had to figure out, how do we get the shot? And we didn't know whether we would actually be able to do it until we were there on the ground in Abu Dhabi and trained in it, and figured out how to exit out of the aircraft, because the aircraft's going between, the C-17s between 160 and 200 miles an hour. So with that level of turbulence, we had to find a way to exit the aircraft, even for me to be able to get close to that 3 feet. We broke it down to 3 sections. And then we only got 1 take a day. So I spent the whole day training, and then at night we would get that 1 take. And it was 1 take. And if there was 1 mistake, that was it. The take was gone. And we couldn't, we had to do it again. So we thought we were going to be there about a week. We ended up being there, I don't know how long we were there, over a month, maybe 5 weeks I was there, training and then to shoot. And the more times we rehearsed it, we just didn't want to be so exhausted that by the time the take came at night, that we were physically unable to do it. And also, when you're going up to altitude like that, up and down, I mean, in the C-17, they're limited to only 3 hops above 18,000 feet a day. And at times, we were doing way more than that. I mean, the team, not the C-17 pilots. In another order, we were going above that, training during the day and then doing it. So we had to really figure out, how we can get this done. It's a movie, you can't shoot it forever. And when we have a release date, and you also don't want to be tired when you're doing it, because you want all of your wits about you as we're performing. It's not just a skydive, I'm acting as I'm doing it. So there are many factors, and obviously we talk them through very carefully. When I go to do something like this, I'm not someone who does it on a whim. I'm very meticulous on how I prepare physically, mentally, with everyone, the whole team, and there's tons of briefings, and I really create a team environment, and one that I push for excellence. But obviously what we're doing is extreme, and all of us know it, and all of us are very respectful of that and don't take it for granted. And it's definitely challenged all of us. I mean, these skydivers that I was diving with also, they all had thousands and thousands of jumps. I didn't. And it's something that none of us took for granted, and every jump I was looking to, how do I improve my skill, what do I do, how can I do it better? So all of that, we had to keep in mind. Once we got that last take, that was a wrap. We finished the movie. And we don't get a chance to come back and get it again. So McHugh and me, we just looked it over and called the crew together and showed them the take, and we were just all there. It was like we all made the decision together. And you could just see, when we finally said, this is the take, there was everyone was so excited and so proud of what we all accomplished. And I think that is the greatest feeling, and why I think I'm addicted to movies. It is something where you're working with enormously talented people in every department that want to entertain that audience. They all love movies, and they're using all of their skills to try to create something for an audience, and make something that they can feel proud of, And when that moment happens, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and one that you don't ever forget, really. I went to Airbus, and I trained at their facility in Dallas, Texas. They were really wonderful and helped me throughout. I wanted to fly the Airbus helicopter, where they call it the squirrel. The thing is, when I'm flying a helicopter, I'm not just flying the helicopter. Just the same thing when I'm driving a car or a motorcycle. I'm also, a lot of times, when I'm there with the cameras, I'm setting a frame. So there are times that I'm flying a helicopter and I'm setting a frame for Henry when I'm behind his other helicopter, plus there's an aerial helicopter. So, plus I'm acting as I'm going and flying the helicopter and flying it low, flying it fast, flying it close to the mountains and the grounds. But obviously, there was a lot of resistance actually to me doing this particular stunt. And number one, it's never been done before in the way that we wanted to do it. The extreme nature of the flying. And of course, everyone wants to make sure that it's going to be safe. And so I made sure, and one of the things that I do is I have these guys, I try to surround myself with the best people, the best group, and have them challenge me and see how good am I? Am I good enough to be able to do this? So a lot of stuff that I wanted to do in terms of flying low under trees, I was able to get the aircraft into a spin and do those spins at very low G and low airspeed, and be able to pull out at very low level. Wing overs, these kinds of things that are extreme with a helicopter, and the things that we were doing were extreme, very close proximity. And of course, look, I want them to trust me, and I want to be able to trust them when you're flying with someone and you're that close. So I did a lot of preparation, and every step of the way I made sure that I just didn't come in going, oh, it's me, I can do this. I was like, guys, you have a right. We're all professionals here, and please put me through my paces and test me to see my ability, and I want to make sure that you feel comfortable with my ability and you understand my ability. And so I always try to do that. Those are the things that we worked on. And those pilots, they really put me through my paces to test me, and rightfully so. And that's what I wanted, and actually. And in doing that, it also increases my ability. And then we end up having, an amazing time. It was the most extraordinary time in New Zealand. New Zealand is breathtakingly beautiful. And to be able to travel through New Zealand with a helicopter and the places that we're able to go, most people aren't allowed really to go in those areas. And the helicopter that I had, as I said, the Squirrel it's a cool looking helicopter. It has tremendous amount of power. Of course, we're in the mountains, it's high altitude. So I needed every bit of that power. Plus I have cameras hanging off of the helicopter. And so it was extreme. It was like everything in Mission. Every day was filled with adrenaline. I know that everyone sighed a massive sigh of relief when we finished there, and I think we're all very proud of what we accomplished. So the long line. That was intense, I have to say. I mean, my adrenaline was definitely flowing in this movie. It was the kind of free fall into the bag. There was an impact there at that point. And I went out in an afternoon and kind of rehearsed it really only once. That's one of those things you just want to go out. I just rehearsed it once. I did the climb once and I did the fall once, because it's a climb. And I have to try to climb as fast as I can up that rope. And that was a heck of a workout. I ended up having to do it. It was freezing on that day too. I mean, luckily the sun came out, but it was freezing. You're traveling. I was like, oh, please. My hands were numb. I'm going up this thing, and basically, when I climbed it, and I was like, okay, how will I make the fall work, And what happens is I put my feet up, and I'm hanging on the struts, and I'm holding on, and so that's what it's like. You let go, and I'm just falling, and you see the take in there. It's like I hit that bag, and I roll over now. And when I roll over, I have to roll over the bag, and then kind of grab the side of the bag so my body doesn't come out. So I kind of disappear underneath the bag. So I'm rolling, and I hit, and I'm glad, because I hit perfectly. I hit right on my back, but it is an impact. And then I have to climb back up. And I remember climbing back up, and I'm like, look, I'm going to climb onto the skid now, and I'm going to go into the helicopter. And, we hadn't really planned for that. And so I just climbed out on the skid, and I got on the side of the skid, and then kind of got in the helicopter and sat there, and it worked. the foot brake. That was intense. We were doing that. I was, you know, it was one of those things. And you see it. I have a cable above me and a cable just in case I fall. But my thing is that I'm going to run as fast as I can. I'm actually going to try to make it to the other side. That's how you have to do that stunt. And first 2 takes, I went in quite hard. And it knocks the wind out of you. It takes you a little bit. You're like, okay, it's just, you know, you have to recover just from the wind being knocked out of you. But it looked cool. So I was like, all right, let's, you know, I can do this. And so I went in, and the second I hit the wall, I was like, oh man. And I remember, I was like, oh. And I looked down. I was just to check it, and I was like, I got to keep going. So I crawled over the wall just to get past camera because I knew this is the take. It's like I can't work. This is gonna wrap. I knew instantly it was broken. You know, called McQuarrie in and the guys, and I said, I'm sorry, it's a wrap. I broke my ankle. You know, and they looked at me. They're like, well, how do you know? I said, I know it's broken. Just let's get me to hospital. I did everything possible to get back, and in 6 weeks we were filming, and in 10 weeks I was able to start running again. I loved the TV series when I was growing up. I loved the music. And to be able to turn it into a feature film and really take it from a Cold War series to this, you know, to bring it to modern audiences in cinema is something that is without a doubt the most challenging films to produce. It's challenging films to make. The sequences, you know, McHugh and I will spend, you know, a lot of time, sometimes a couple years working on different sequences. And obviously Mission is about practical action. That's what we want to do. We want to look at things and see how in every way can we create a movie that is elegant, that is entertaining, that is high in aesthetics, that is gripping, and use all of our skills as filmmakers. And it challenges every department, and you can just see their faces every day. You know, as we're going through it, it's such hard work, but there's an exhilaration also, and I think a real joy from everyone that they have the opportunity to challenge themselves in this manner.
I love them. I think for me, they still work because they're exciting and I know what to expect, but I equally as much get blown away by the stunts that I'm now a part of and I even know are going to happen. I still get blown away. Character development, bloody intoxicatingly scary stunts, and some kind of a motor race, motorcade, car, bicycle, I don't know, scooter race. Yes. I think that's what we should do for the next one, by the way. What are they called? Segways? No. Segways. What are they called, the things that you stand on? Yeah, we should have a Segway race through Denmark. I feel inspired because I always have a backup team. I have stunt doubles. I have other people who can always jump in and do what I can do. And I think that's what pushes me to be able to do it and challenge it myself. But then also there are scenes that I don't do. I don't do the motorbike racing through Paris because it's bloody dangerous. And Jenny is the world's best motor driver, so she does it. But it's one of the most incredible things of being a part of this franchise is having the possibility of challenging yourself. And being terrified and actually doing it. That's why I love it. He is bloody fast. He is fast. God, he can run. Okay, Tom is fast, but he's bloody funny. He's fun to be with. He is and on top of things. He's superhuman.
Upon learning that I was returning to Mission Impossible, I was very surprised, actually. I had no idea that there were plans for that, and ultimately I was really excited. You know, the character is a wonderful character. Their love story is really something that fans have latched onto, and myself included. So it was a real pleasure to get to come back. Truly is unaware of what he really does for a living, and which makes it very exciting as well to play. And in 4, As you know, Ethan really makes the ultimate sacrifice, or they both make the ultimate sacrifice, and they let each other go. And for me, that's the ultimate love, I suppose, because he essentially lets her go to keep her safe and out of harm's way. And then they go their separate ways. And in Mission Impossible 6, you see them back together, but in a much different way. The mission is to retrieve the plutonium cores that Ethan Hunt stole from the Russians to capture Lane, played by Sean Harris. Tom has created such a memorable character, such a fun character, and you know, it's so fun to watch Ethan Hunt because he's obviously so heroic. We've seen him save the world and many a people from near disaster, but he does it with such a sense of humor as well. One of the things that is probably most memorable about shooting in New Zealand was having the very traditional Maori ceremony. And for those of you who don't know, the Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand, and we actually shot on their land in the Reese Valley, and it was truly one of the most beautiful places to shoot. But for them allowing us to be there and to shoot on such sacred land was a real gift. And they presented us with these beautiful sacred stones, and which I still have, and I keep in a very safe place. And it was such an honor, and they chanted and they sang, and it was just a really nice experience for the cast and for the crew. It's such a lovely character. It's such a lovely story. You know, they've shared so much in such a short time. You know, she brought him back to life at one point. She's gotten to do a lot of different things, so I feel like she's lived a big life, but the most profound of which is the love that the two of them have shared. And I guess, aside from the character, personally, it's just been a joy to work with Tom. I can't say enough good things about him. You know, as an actor, I've never met anyone more dedicated or committed, and that will really hold a creative space with you. And it's incredibly engaging and charming. I think McHugh just knows how to make this franchise what it is, what it needs to be. Not only is he a great filmmaker, he's a great writer. And there's something so comforting knowing when you've got the writer and the director in the same room. He's incredibly collaborative. He's made a number of films with Tom, so it's so interesting watching them together. They truly have a shorthand, and you know, they're two peas in a pod when it comes to making this film, and they trust each other implicitly, and you can see that on set. They really respect each other. In true Mission Impossible form, we go to some pretty extraordinary locations. Paris, New Zealand, Norway, London. These are all really great places to shoot. And also, you know, I think that people come to expect, you know, these exotic locations from this franchise. And I think that they expect and they deserve an authentic thrill ride. And also, it's a global franchise. There are fans from all over the world, and I think there's something to be said for people and fans being able to see a film that was shot in their own backyard. All the stunts that you see in this movie are real. It's unbelievable. You know, I think, you know, and I was in New Zealand, Tom was training to do his helicopter stunt. And I of course asked, so what does this stunt entail? And he said, well, I'm flying the chopper, and then I'm going to, jump onto the chopper as it's taking off, and then I'm going to descend, and then I'm going to climb the rope. And I said, what are you not going to do with this chopper? And he's so bold and brave, and it's so exciting to see an actor want to partake in all of these things, and I think it's just so important and rare to have an action sequence be authentic, and you can see it on the screen. Tom is, as much as he's kid-like when it comes to getting to do these stunts, he's incredibly focused, and obviously for his own safety, but for everybody else around him, and who's going to be partaking in the stunts as well, which are, cameramen and women and everybody involved. But it was really insane and incredible, and these are death-defying stunts that we are doing in the movie, and it'll make you probably catch your breath when you watch them. I think Mission Impossible 6 is probably going to supersede anything that you've expected or you've seen in the past missions. It's incredibly, action-driven. The stunts are incredible, but at the same time, there's a real emotional heart to this story. You see Ethan confronting his past and the love of his life, and you see a real emotional tug of war for him, and that's, he has to confront some demons.
One, it's good. And two, because Ethan Hunt is a relatable hero. He's a classic hero, absolutely, and he always does the right thing, and he does the right thing extraordinarily well in a fantastic way, but he's relatable. He's not just doing it easily. Everything is genuinely hard for him, so the audience members feel what he's feeling. And also the idea that everything that happens is real makes everything that much more exciting, because the audience is going, wow, I know that's actually happening, rather than it being fake. And so the audience can feel it. It's keyed into an audience emotion and psychology, which is fascinating, and it's done it really well.
I agree.
High-level stunts, something never done before. Great performances, and a sense of genuinely high stakes on the psychological level as well as the world level. Well, I felt like this was such an opportunity because I knew Tom does all his own stunts, obviously, and I came onto this movie and Chris McQuarrie said, are you okay with doing practical stunts and practical locations? And I said yes, and I meant it. I was genuinely excited about coming here, or coming everywhere in the world, not just Paris, and going to everywhere in the world, and doing these things for real. And so it was more of an opportunity. It was more of a finally, I get to do this, I get to meet the stunt team and really work with them on building and developing stuff, and then do it. And I take pride in that. And this was an opportunity, and I'm so glad I had it. How it's done? Well, the stunt team, in this case, Eastwood Action Stunts, very talented bunch. They come up with the ideas based upon the story, I'm assuming with Tom and Chris, and then they build the technical harnesses and setups required to achieve these stunts. The difficult thing there is that, one, they've got to cook it up out of nowhere, they've got to build all the rigs and do whatever, and then they have to test each movement in small pieces, and then eventually test it in full pieces, and it's a stunt, but it's a concept of a stunt, it's a theoretical stunt. made practical, and so injuries happen so easily there. The stuntmen get beaten up so much just building the stunt to a place where, one, it looks good for camera, two, it's not going to kill anyone, and three, is as safe as possible within that realm of danger, and is also still exciting looking. And what they go through is extraordinary. Then we come along. Tom's been there from the beginning, obviously, making sure the stunt is exactly what he wants it to be. And then we come along and they put us in the harnesses, and then they have to micro-adjust everything because we're different weights or different lengths. We have different body shapes and sizes. And the thinking required and the technical prowess required to do that is extraordinary. I have a lot of respect for those guys because they're tough and they have to think about us and make sure that we don't die. If we die on their watch, it's a really, really bad thing. Bad career move.
I hadn't seen Rebecca for a long time, and we get on really well. And everybody, actually, you know, I love Ving. Ving's always really fun to hang out with, and obviously the boss, Tom. So it was a real pleasure when the four of us, as the sort of team, found ourselves in a scene together for the first time. It's very much like well, it is a reunion. So, and it doesn't seem that long since we were shooting Rogue Nation, so there was an odd kind of deja vu going on. I think, as always with the Mission Impossible film, the spectacle and the stunts are always a very exciting thing. I think the great thing about the Mission movies is that they're always very tense and smart movies. They're dramatically and sort of in terms of the action and adventure are always very tight and well executed. Which is good, because it doesn't matter how many bangs and flashes you have in a movie. If you don't care about the central characters, it doesn't mean anything. I think what you have with Mission is a group of characters that you really care about, who then find themselves in ridiculously scary situations. Mainly Tom, who ends up hanging off something or jumping off something or risking his life for the movie. We have Tom's extraordinary helicopter adventures, which involved him hanging off a helicopter and piloting a helicopter, doing extremely dangerous things, falling from a helicopter, which was a nail-biting moment to watch. Me and Rebecca were just on the ground, sort of trying not to soil our underwear. It was a very, very exciting thing to behold, and I think in the movie, when people see it, knowing that he did it, it's not a digital, you know, fabrication. It is what you see, is what's happening. Always adds to the joy of the experience. You know, you end up on the edge of your seat, literally, because you know that this actually happened. The truth is, he's incredibly rigorous when it comes to safety. His team are just, you know, a crack squad of total professionals. He's incredibly safety conscious. He wants everything to be absolutely right before any stunt is done, and that's not just to protect him, it's to protect everybody. You know, when we do the car stuff, I remember when we did he just drove a Jeep down a very steep hill with me and Rebecca in. And before we did it, we did this whole drill about what we would do if the car rolled, you know, where we're going to go. And we rehearsed it a couple of times. You know, he's very safety conscious. This is my fourth Mission movie as Benji. Benji started out as a sort of systems analyst in the labs at the IMF, and then got a taste for adventure when he was forced to kind of be Ethan Hunt's GPS in the third film. I think he kind of felt like, oh, I kind of enjoyed the adventure and excitement there. I'll try and become an agent. So in the interim between the third film and Ghost Protocol, Benji takes the field exam, and in Ghost Protocol we find him for the first time out in the field. And in subsequent movies, he's become more accomplished and used to the idea of being out in the field, being a secret agent. He still looks up to Ethan as a sort of a bit of a hero. But he's very capable and accomplished, and even in the scariest situation, he kind of manages to hold it together and do what he needs to do, which is great. It's nice to have played a character for this long and seen him evolved from a sort of lab potato, visually and figuratively. I did look like a potato in number 3, to a much more sort of, you know, capable, fit secret agent with some, you know, impressive skill sets. I had to learn to drive a speedboat, a twin-engine speedboat, which I did on Denham Lake near Pinewood. and then eventually on the canals and of Paris and the River Seine. And that involved just, you know, going down and burning around the lake for a while and learning how to sort of feather the engines, and it's fun, a lot of fun, but kind of hairy if you don't do it properly. I also had to learn to use a rebreather and go underwater in a dry suit, which was, I'd done scuba diving once before, but a rebreather is a completely different setup. It goes on your front, and it's a closed circuit of air rather than tanks, which are compressed. Obviously, the longest-serving Mission Impossible member, other than Tom, other than Ethan, is Luther Stickle, who is played by the inimitable Ving Rhames, and he has the, you know, the auspicious honor of surviving 6 Mission Impossible films now, maybe, unless he dies in this one. I don't know yet. The script isn't finished. And Ving's an old timer when it comes to, you know, this story. He's been with Ethan from the beginning, and I love hanging out with Ving. Ving is such a character. He's got a lot of cool stories. He's very funny. He quotes Shakespeare a lot. He can be a little weird at times, which I like. So that's always really good. When I know Ving's going to be in, it's always fun, because we spend a lot of time together, and we have a lot of fun. Rebecca Ferguson, obviously, who's returning, who is a brilliant actress and plays a great character. I like the fact that Ilsa is a match for Ethan, and you know, both physically and mentally, and she isn't just there to be rescued. She's there to kind of contribute and is a force to be reckoned with, you know. And I think that's it's important that women aren't underestimated, you know, as they all have been historically forever. And it's great to see strong female characters emerging across the movie landscape. You know, it's way overdue. Angela Bassett, of course, who was a late casting, so it was quite a nice surprise to hear she'd been cast and to meet her. She's an absolute delight, and someone I've always liked. Vanessa Kirby, or New as we call her. I've only met her once so far on the shoot, very briefly in New Zealand, but she seems awesome and fun, and I thought she was great in The Crown, so it's great to have her involved. Yeah, there's a strong female contingent in this movie, and I'm pleased to see that. You know, it always makes it feel a little bit more rounded and realistic. I'm going to expect some fantastic stunts and some searching character work, some interesting twists and plot twists, as always. You know, these films always try to stay one step ahead of the audience. They're always full of intrigue and betrayal and double crosses. And I think with a Mission Impossible film, what you would expect, what you would want, is a kind of smart, taut story laced with fantastic action sequences, as well as some really light-hearted fun. You know, these films never take themselves entirely seriously. There's always a degree of levity, which I think really helps, because you can't be that tense for 2 hours without having an aneurysm, so it's good to just relax and laugh. I think that's where, a lot of the time, that's where Benji comes in, because he's very much a sort of the normal person in the group, you know. He's the audience member who's along for the ride. I saw a couple of things, which Tom going over the handlebars, which is insane. Tom doing like a kind of a handbrake turn down some stairs, which was ridiculous. He's a very, very good driver, Tom. I remember asking Wade Eastwood, our stunt coordinator on the last film, who was going to do the driving in Morocco, and we did that car chase, and Wade said, "Oh, Tom's the best driver I have," which is good, because it means that he can do everything. And I think just the access we got to Paris, the streets we were hammering around, the stuff we got to do, you know, it's going to look amazing because we did it, you know. And it's such a treat to be able to actually do that stuff and to feel the speed, to be in a car when there's like a, you know, all the reactions again that you see of us in the car are real, because we are spinning around at however many miles an hour doing handbrake turns and leaping out of the car and him skidding off, and it's great. It's a good job he's such a show-off. I think McHugh has a great classical sensibility when it comes to movie making. Like, he is a real film fan, you know. He has a vast knowledge of cinema. he loves the process of filmmaking. Again, we're shooting on film, which is really nice. I think he has an understanding of Mission Impossible sort of classical roots, you know, as a kind of spy thriller. And it needs to have a certain sense of kind of, you know, it needs a sort of classical edge to it to make it a Mission Impossible film. It's a coming together of sort of classic cinema and a more sort of fast-paced modern cinema. And I think with Rogue Nation, he proved that he could put together a really effective, fun, exciting Mission Impossible movie, and it did really well. And I felt like the studio were kind of like, well, if it ain't broke, you know? And so they invited McQuarrie back. And I was really happy because I love working with him. He's a great friend and a total nerd. And I love sort of, you know, we always nerd out together on set about movies and what have you. I love that kind of eating and sleeping and breathing film kind of thing. I'm down with that. It's really, I really respect his love of the medium. I think Tom and McQuarrie are a great team in terms of how they understand each other. McQuarrie works really well with Tom. Tom is a force of nature. You know, he's kind of an incredible sort of whirlwind of enthusiasm and ideas. McQuarrie is able to kind of not only understand Tom, but also steer him and, you know, add to what he brings to the table, interpret what he brings to the table, make it his own, and then, you know, come to a compromise which they're both like, great, okay, let's do it. They very rarely disagree, and if they do, it's usually two back and forths, and they're at a compromise where they're both happy. Or Tom will be certain of something, and McQuarrie will go, you know what, that's a great idea, but what about this? And Tom will go, oh no, you're right, you know, or vice versa. And that's really productive in terms of a creative relationship. There's no butting heads really with Tom and McQuarrie. They understand each other. They get each other. Tom trusts McQuarrie implicitly. You want them to go through a range of emotions. You know, you want them to be entertained, of course, sort of thrilled and immersed in it all. We're all in a lot of serious danger again, seemingly even more than the last time. You know, as Mission Impossible films have proven in the past, no one is expendable. And so you never know if everyone's going to make it. Even Tom, you know, even Ethan. And I just hope people are gripped and thrilled and just leave the cinema feeling exhausted but good. These films always are physically challenging, and I just hope that I can keep getting better built. I think in terms physically, I've got younger on screen as these films have progressed, because the training is always so rigorous, and whenever I do a Mission Impossible film, I always try and get in absolute peak physical condition. I'm getting better and better at that. So, and Tom and Ving now call me Six Pack Peg, so I just want to hold on to that nickname for as long as I can.
Tom Cruise is a producer on this, and for me as an actor, he knows my strengths and weaknesses as an actor, and he also has a certain sensitivity with actors because he is an actor. And I think a lot of producers could learn from him how actors work. Tom has an understanding how we take time to create a character, develop a role. And I also think he's very cognizant of time. Tom is someone who brings process to get the result. I think McQuarrie is an excellent director for this because he knows the characters and he understands the rhythm, and he's written the pieces, and he understands the rhythm of the piece. I think one of the very interesting things in Mission Impossible is the team of actors working together. I think that what McQuarrie has been able to do is he's been able to weave in past relationships. I think when you have actors who have worked together before, and when you bring in an actor like Simon Pegg and Sean Harris, I think that it's important that we have a good chemistry. And I think we really do on Rebecca Ferguson. And I think that we're almost like McQuarrie and Tom have put together a symphony of actors. I'm the bass in the symphony. You know, Simon may be the flute section, but I think McHugh was able to capture a personal story. And I think that's why the last one worked, because it gets more personal than just action. The character I play is Luther, and in many ways how McQuarrie has written this role, it's almost like as he said to me, he said, the soul of the film. And at first I didn't know exactly what he meant. But I think it's a certain consciousness that I give to Ethan. So I think he really humanizes Luther more, and you get to see a little more of the fabric of Luther's personality. And one of the scenes we're going to do with Rebecca, that's a pretty powerful scene, you feel Luther's love for Ethan. So I think the character, and most of these characters, especially the ones of us who have been in at least 2 of them, you see more of relationship telling, who these people are, how they interact with one another. And I think you see more substance in the film, because to me, films are really about relationships between people.
I think I've always been a fan of the Mission Impossible films. They're the kind of movie which, when it's on at the cinema, that's the one you go watch, because you know it's going to be a good ride regardless. And it's a spy movie, but set contemporary, and it's realistic. There are some gadgets in there, sure, which are like, okay, maybe that's a stretch of the imagination, but it's entirely feasible, and everyone loves that. And so, I've always been a fan. The character I play is a member of the CIA. He is the director of the CIA's #1 assassin. He's a cleaner. He goes and takes out people who you can't capture. He's rather notorious within the CIA. The way the IMF and the way Hunt looks at him is like he's the enemy, because he's being forced upon them in the team by Erica Sloan, the director of the CIA. And so he just plays along with that, and he just plays the nice guy. He's like, yeah, I'm just doing my job. I think Walker has watched Ethan Hunt from afar. Obviously, he's one of the top guys in this very strange section of the CIA, the Impossible Mission Force, IMF, and he obviously knows that Hunt has talent, his ability, but I think he looks at Hunt as someone who doesn't have what it takes to do the necessary things. He puts too many people and too many things at risk because he has a moral code which is too strict. The script is very much alive. It's a process which never stops evolving. And I like that. It can be difficult at times. As I say, it's a challenge when you've got your character and you're trying to look at arcs and where to play stuff. But McHugh is so aware of that as well. It all ends up blending together, and it's really rather clever. I don't quite know how he does it, but it is alive, and yeah, that's the way Chris works. And I quite enjoy that, because it allows your character not just to be stationary throughout the shoot. You are constantly moving and adjusting, much like humans in regular life. If you're going through intense scenarios, your opinions will be changing reliant upon the scenario that you went through. He's a very good writer, and he is very, very intelligent when it comes to writing character. And with these characters, it's very important to have complexity, and with that complexity, there's a sense of a real peril. He's excellent at making people, putting these characters into enormously stressful situations, and yet they survive somehow, or they grow, or they adapt and change and evolve. And the way he does that is interesting. I've been training with Wade Eastwood's team, his stunt team, Wade, who is second director and the stunt coordinator. And they're an excellent team, very, very talented bunch. I've made friends with a lot of them throughout the process, and it's been doing a lot of fight stuff with them. And on this movie, I've done stunts which I haven't done before, and so they've been training me and teaching me about the basics of each stunt. I mean, I've done fight stuff before, I've done light stunt stuff before, but this is definitely more involved. In previous movies, it's been on a green screen, and you've been hanging on a wire on a green screen, which is one thing, but when you're hanging off, I don't know, a 1900-foot cliff on a wire, it's a little different. It feels different. If you're hanging out of a helicopter in New Zealand in the winter for an hour and a half each time, it's different rather than just doing it on a stage. It's real. It's at least partially real. And the danger's real, and the danger's there. The mission's famous for the actors doing their stunts. They let me do it, and I've loved it. It's been an incredible experience. The one which really sticks in my head a lot, just because it was quite grueling over the 2 weeks, was the helicopter in New Zealand. New Zealand winter, it's chilly, right? And we were flying over glaciers and stuff, and you think, that's fine, you're in a helicopter, you're indoors-ish. But my doors are open on my helicopter, and I'm leaning out of them most of the time. And so I'm not too sure how fast we're going. I'm assuming 80 miles an hour plus. I think it got down to -15. Being in a helicopter in New Zealand, over mountains and glaciers and flying through canyons, while being chased by another helicopter, which is, I don't know, 20 feet away, or chasing another helicopter and firing a machine gun at the doors it's like every boy's dream. You're like, yeah, I want to grow up and pretend to be G.I. Joe, basically. Tom is flying his own helo, and it is amazing what he does. Like, the training he's gone through to fly a helicopter has been extensive, and he's doing serious, serious stunts. In that moment, I forgot how cold I was because of how beautiful it was. So, despite that cold, it was an incredible experience. One of the other stunts I did, which sticks in my mind, was Pulpit Rock in Norway, which is about 1,800 feet. The weird thing about that, you're standing up there and you realize how high it is. And then you're being backed off, you're walking off the cliff backwards because it's like abseiling. And it's so high and so sheer that it doesn't look real. I think it looks a bit like a painting from up there. So it didn't feel quite as bad until you're hanging down there while they're discussing the shot and the wind starts to pick up and you feel yourself just blowing side to side. You're like, I really hope this stuff holds. I trust you, Wade. And that was good fun. I loved that. As far as Walker's fight style is concerned, we wanted to make Walker different from Hunt. He's a trained assassin. He knows how to fight. His strengths lie more in brutality and a brawler style. It's more of a fight to kill, fight to completely disable so you can kill. Performing stunts with Tom Cruise, he's obviously very experienced with stunts, and I mean, aside from just performing stunts with Tom Cruise, which is pretty cool, it's a cool thing to be able to say. He's very experienced in this sort of stuff. He knows the angles, he knows what works, he knows that he needs to do his part of the stunt, and I do my part of the stunt, and whoever else is involved does their part of the stunt. And from that, you end up with a winning formula. There's a connection between Tom and McHugh because they understand each other. They understand the same process. They are both working towards the same goal, which is a great story. And there's no ego involved. It's just making entertainment for an audience. And they've worked together before, and they both have particular styles. And so they've become accustomed to those styles. They can ultimately agree on something and produce a great piece from it. It's been a real journey, and what I like the most about this is that despite the long hours and the hard work, everyone has kept a wonderful personality about it. It's amazing to see it. It's great to be a part of. And I think this is going to be the best one yet. I look forward to watching the movie myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, reprising his role as Ethan Hunt, encore une fois dans le rôle de Ethan Hunt, the multiple award-winning actor and producer, l'acteur et producteur de Star, Tom Cruise. Returning in his role as Benji Dunn, de nouveau dans le rôle de Benji Dunn. Make him feel welcome. Veuillez bien accueillir, s'il vous plaît, Simon. Et maintenant, veuillez bien accueillir avec moi, s'il vous plaît, le réalisateur, scénariste. La femme de Ethan Hunt's wife. Please welcome, veuillez bien accueillir, Michelle Monaghan. Reprising the role of the enigmatic Ilsa, encore une fois dans le rôle de Ilsa. Walker dans le rôle de Auguste Walker. Veuillez bien accueillir. Please welcome Henry Cavill. The role of Erica Sloan, the ruthless CIA director, dans le rôle de Erica Sloan, la
¿Cómo estás, Tom? ¿Cómo estás?
How are you, huh? Bien?
Muy bien, muy bien.
I've seen the mountains doing stunts in the air.
Thank you. Simon, to your right.
C'est bon? Ouais, thanks for your love. Appreciate it.
Hello. Fine.
Mr. John Cruise!
Keep up with you all.
It's very hard, and I wanted to let you know that we're actually streaming live in Latin America.
Excellent.
And I think I'm Coco Shell on behalf of all of your fans.
Regardez la photo de ça Robert qui a les yeux de la mer. Ça c'est sûr, ça. Qui gère Il y a une autre côté en
Please, this way, this way. Rebecca, to your left! To your left!
Ouais, mais tu viens tout le faire tout le temps. Ah, hey, please, have a gift picture. Sinon, tu m'en rachètes un.
Well, the truth is you can't come every time. It's just, he's leagues ahead of us. But depends on the movie, really. Some films, you know, the character a long way ahead. Sometimes that's
Hey! Give us a wave! Give us a wave! Away! 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 Come on!
Hey buddy, how's it going?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I take a picture of you? Oh, I see. Thank you.
Tom Cruise, welcome again to Paris. You must be Jake.
This is Jake. This is Jake.
Myers, donc le producteur. Vanessa, come on
Hello,
up. Hi, Vanessa. Vanessa Kirby, come on up. Who else do we have with us? Michelle Monaghan, come on up. Little by little, we're getting all the cast and crew coming up with us on
Come on,
stage.
Michelle. This is Michelle.
The lovely Michelle Monaghan, who plays Julia. Aussi avec nous, Angela Bassett.
Angela.
Let's welcome her. Erica
Please.
Sloan. Okay, Henry, come on up. Henry Cavill. Henry est avec nous encore. Simon Pegg. Benji. On dit
Yes.
bonjour à Simon. Rebecca, come on, you can make those stairs. Rebecca Ferguson. Bravo. Voilà, vous arrivez tous. Christopher McQuarrie, the réalisateur. There we go. Hey, guys. We made it. Welcome again to all of you. Thank you so much for being on stage. We're just going to take a few minutes to talk to you as we go. Chris, I just want to start with you. What was it for you, the very best part about filming in France? C'était quoi votre souvenir préféré de filmer ici à Paris?
That would have to be. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay, good. That would have to be when we were shooting the motorcycle chase. We had to shoot at the Arc de Triomphe, and we had 2 hours to do it. And they told us it was impossible, it couldn't be done. And the crew, the way they came together and the way the city came together, and we did that, it was amazing. It was a
pour
once in a
moi,
lifetime.
donc Christopher il dit, pour moi c'était la course-poursuite autour de l'Arc de Triomphe. On a fait ça en 2 heures, top chrono. On nous a dit que c'était impossible, on ne va jamais pouvoir le faire. Et en fin de compte, on a pu le faire. Jake, I've got a question for you. Where's Jake? As
Right
a
here.
producer, comme un producteur, what do you do when Tom, your star, says to you, I'm going to do something crazy like jump out of a helicopter? Don't you go, oh shit, like Tom just said earlier?
No, he never makes a mistake. It's all fine. We're not nervous at all.
Ah oui, non, on n'a jamais peur.
He's got a limp, not us.
Oui, voilà, Simon, il dit non, c'est
He's the one
Jake.
with the broken ankle,
Voilà.
not me.
Oui, Tom, il dit, c'est lui qui a la cheville cassée, c'est pas moi, c'est pas moi. Simon, tell us a bit more about what it's like for you being part of this family now for some time now. What's been the absolute best memory of all of
Every
your
day
experience?
working with us, right, Simon?
Ah, on a travaillé avec nous tous les jours.
Yeah, feelings. No.
Okay, tell me, c'est quoi voilà, votre souvenir préféré? If you had one memory in
Oui, oui.
all of the Mission Impossibles, what would it be? Your
D'accord.
favorite?
Oui, oui. My best memory ever was probably on this film. It's not a good memory, but it's a relief. No,
Pas
listen.
un bon souvenir, mais un souvenir.
Tom was hanging from the helicopter. Rebecca and me were on the ground. We weren't told that Tom was going to fall.
Baby lambs and coffee.
We were playing with a baby lamb. We looked up. Tom Cruise, the film actor, fell from the helicopter, and we went, "Oh shit!" And but fortunately, it was supposed to happen. But for 1 second, we thought we were going home early.
Voilà, Simon et Rebecca nous disent qu'ils étaient en train de regarder Tom en train de tourner une scène où il tombe sur une corde d'un hélicoptère. Ils ne savaient pas du tout qu'il allait faire ça. Ils regardaient, ils étaient en train de jouer avec des agneaux. Il dit les petits bébés agneaux. Et tout d'un coup, ils voient Tom qui tombe et ils disent encore, go ahead Simon, what did you say?
Merde!
Merde! I can imagine, I can imagine. Henry, tell us a bit about what it was like for you doing that incredible fight scene with Tom in the Grand Palais. Henri, il fait une scène de dingue
I know, I
au
love
Grand
this.
Palais.
When he did this, I was like, that's just awesome.
Comme
Reloading his biceps. That was awesome.
Tom a dit, c'est comme il a rechargé.
Do it, Henry. Do it, Henry.
Allez, il a rechargé ses muscles. Go ahead, Henry.
Come
Do it.
on.
Henry. Henri. Henri.
Let's go.
Henri. No, but seriously, what was it like for you shooting that scene? C'était comment de faire cette scène de... Vraiment, c'est une scène de bataille dure avec Tom au Grand Palais dans les toilettes.
I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to do that.
Il a dit, j'aurais espéré ne pas l'avoir fait, mais...
He does it every time he goes to the toilet.
Yeah, mais Simon says, il fait ça à chaque fois qu'il va aux toilettes. No, really, what was it like?
It was incredible. It was actually, we only scheduled that shoot for 4 days, and it ended up being about 4 weeks worth of shooting.
On était censé faire ça que pendant 4 jours, et en fin de compte, c'était 4 semaines.
And it was just a real pleasure working with Liang and Tom, and the level of energy those guys put in every day. When I turn up on set and Tom's already there, Liang's already there, and it's just one of those things which no one gets hurt unless you hurt yourself. Which is a weird thing, especially when you're working with Tom.
Il a dit.
But hold it, we're all like guys saying none of us admitted how much it hurt doing that scene. Not one of us. It was only
All
when we came back
smiling through the pain.
all smiling through the pain, and when we came back for the pickup, I looked at you. I said, "This scene really hurt." did you hurt? Were you sort of? It was finally we admitted to each other. It was like that really hurt. And Liang was like that was painful.
Tom et Henri disaient ils jouaient un peu le dur quand ils faisaient leur scène de bataille, mais à la fin ils disaient tous les deux ah oui ça faisait quand même assez mal. Angela, what was it like for you and for you, Vanessa, coming on new to the family? Did these guys do anything to welcome you in particular? Did they, I don't know, est-ce qu'ils ont fait quelque chose pour vous accueillir comme une membre de la famille Mission Impossible?
They made sure it was extremely cold, frigid, unbearable damn near, and that it went all night long. Yeah. But of course, they greet you with a smile and a warm embrace, so.
Voilà, non, on était très bien accueillis, chaleureusement. Bon, on avait dit on va vous bisouter un peu toute la nuit et tout, mais bon, non, c'était vraiment très, très sympa.
It was freezing.
Ah, voilà.
We had those heaters, and anytime they moved the
They
heaters
did
away, we were like,
nothing.
Et Tommy disait, il faisait tellement froid, on était censé avoir du chauffage, mais on n'avait pas de tout et ça faisait rien de tout. How about for you?
Well, it's like joining a family because he's kind of done it before, and Chris and Tom have worked together so much. So it really felt like you were joining a family unit.
Voilà.
And they welcomed me just utterly.
Non, vraiment, il nous a accueillis vraiment. On avait l'impression qu'on était en train d'entrer dans une famille. C'est quelque chose qui nous a touchés vraiment. Was there anything just...
Vanessa was nominated for an Emmy today.
Ah,
So
fantastic!
congratulations.
Vanessa a été nommée pour un Emmy. Ça, c'est des prix un peu comme les Oscars pour la télévision aux États-Unis. Bravo, congratulations, félicitations. For all of you, what was it like when you guys weren't shooting? Was there a particular funny moment or something silly that happened? Est-ce qu'il y avait un moment, une anecdote un peu rigolote du tournage ou après le tournage?
Now these guys are always cracking up, and I'm like, sometimes I have to go like, we got to focus, because we'd be laughing so much before takes.
Ah, Tommy
You're
dit que
the worst at that, by the way.
Who was the funniest? What did you say?
Tom gets
Yes,
a glint in his eye. I can always tell when he's going to go. He gets a glint in his eye like a naughty boy, and it's all bets are off. That's when it happens, and it's devastating.
C'est vrai. On se moquait beaucoup. C'était assez drôle. Mais il dit que souvent, en fait, Tom, il a un petit étincelle dans les yeux, et vous savez qu'il va partir en vrille, comme on dit.
Actually, there was a scene, because Tom is usually on helicopters and falling down something or climbing or diving or whatever. But we're in the, do you remember we're in the car? It's with you and Tom and Ving and the long dialogue scene. And I'm pregnant. And we're
And I
sitting
was.
laughing and having, no, you go, take this one.
No, I said I was pregnant as well.
Yeah, and all of a sudden,
driving,
Tom
we're
literally
pretending to be
goes,
driving.
guys, safety, what do you say? Safety embrace?
Safety first.
Safety first.
Positions.
Safety positions. And we all go in the car to make sure that if in case something happens, even in a car going down a small hill, it might turn over, it might hit us on the head, and I have a baby. Do you remember?
Donc Rebecca disait...
It was literally 1, 2, 3.
Donc Rebecca nous disait il y avait une scène qui tournait dans une voiture quand elle était enceinte et c'était pas très dur comme cascade, c'était une petite chute dans une colline, mais ils étaient tous en train de faire la position de sécurité. Donc vas-y, faites-le. What was the safety position? 1, 2, 3. Voilà. Et donc il faisait ça même dans la voiture. Donc... Voilà. Sauf que Tom, c'était 1, 2, 3 parce
Protect
qu'il
her.
a...
Always just protect her.
Il a protégé Rebecca. Okay, Tom, I'm sorry, our time is almost up, but just a quick word to wrap up, please. Just un petit mot pour
Thank you.
conclure.
Look, I want to thank Paris. It's just a beautiful city and the people here. And this evening, everyone that's here, thank you for being here. This is an unbelievable moment for all of us. We're all talking about, we can't believe we're here. And we're very humbled by this and very grateful. So thank you all very much for
On est
being here.
tellement touchés d'être ici.
Merci beaucoup.
Voilà,
Merci,
on se
merci
sent
beaucoup.
tellement humble. Donc un grand merci à vous tous. Thank you so much to all of you guys. And we're going to leave you now. Enjoy and good evening.
We are in Paris, celebrating Mission Impossible, Fallout, and it's a beautiful evening, beautiful romantic evening. We did. We shot right there. We shot a scene. Henry and Angela shot a scene there, and we were racing through all of these streets. Oh, definitely. It's the most practical action I think ever shot in any film in the history of films. Actually, when we added up, the most practical. We were pushing it. We didn't really kind of think about it until we looked at the movie and thought, what? Look at how many things we've done. It was hard. Some of the stuff we had to cut out of the film that didn't make it. You kind of look at it in the DVD. I just love entertaining an audience. I really love coming up with things that I think will thrill them, and that's what I think about. I really, when I go to make a film, I'm employing every part of me, every skill as a filmmaker, as the physicality, the artistry, and all of us are doing that. Every aspect of that, every producer we have on the film, every department, I really want that, and they want to give it, and that's what I'm thinking about. How can we entertain the audience? We've made 9 films together. We have made 9 films. I love him. I love working with him. He's an utter genius. He's just he's so much fun to work with. Every day, I love the surprises that he has. His writing is amazing. His taste is very elegant. His composition is elegant. So I have a lot of respect for him. I love their characters. I love how they play these characters. I remember being all the way back to the very first one with Simon when he came on board, and to have the whole new team that's here. I look forward to working with them every day, and I missed it. Like when we're done, it's like, oh man, so we're here now to be able to celebrate together, which is lovely. I'm just looking forward to see the whole movie. That's I can't wait for them to see it. That's we dream of moments like this and think of this, and I'm just looking forward to that.
Oh, it's amazing. The fact that also my character is Vanessa Redgrave's daughter from the first movie. So to think that I'm linked to somebody in the very first movie from 1996 is amazing. Who would have thought? Yes, I remember watching the very first one with all of them, and Kristen Scott Thomas and everybody, with my family at home when I was very little. And I remember all the stunts, so it was really surreal to be on set, and to hear the theme music, It was surreal. I mean, you think that that he does all his own stunts because he's known for it, but then when you actually see him do it in person, it is quite extraordinary. It's like an art form that I've never seen. It's given me a whole new appreciation. I've never done a stunt before, so watching him and doing my own sequence was really wonderful, and it's definitely given me an appetite for it. I suppose just a whole new journey, new characters, and new locations, and Ethan, I think, is troubled in this one. He has a conscience that's caught up with him over 5 movies, and that's what I loved about it. It's sort of dark. It's much darker.
It's exciting. It feels relatively quick, really. We only stopped shooting, the final sort of details of the movie months ago. And so to be here so quickly feels extraordinary. It's so great to be back in Paris, though. I can't think of a better backdrop for this film, than this beautiful city. And to show the city like we do, with the access we got, enabled us to shoot the city like it has never been shot before. You don't need any help to make Paris look beautiful, but it's great to be able to shoot it in this amount of detail. It's extraordinary. It's like the Paris Tourist Board are going to be very pleased. I love doing that. I mean, I generally get to at least do 1 or 2 things when I'm on my downtime. In New Zealand, I got to go snowboarding because it was like winter there. Here in Paris, I got to just walk the streets and soak it up. Paris is somewhere that's, it's close to my home. It's somewhere I've been many, many times. So to be able to be here is a treat. And also shooting in London, that's where I live. So I was able to go home and sleep in my own bed. It's nice to be not dead. A lot of the team don't make it as far as I have. Who knows what happens in this film? We have to wait and see. But it's nice being part of the team. It's nice for Benji to be valued and be sort of treated seriously, it's something I really relish. Yeah, bigger, way bigger. I mean, we have to make them bigger. Do you know what I mean? These films, they rely on becoming more and more impossible. We know the last one turned out to be possible, so this next one has to be impossible again. It has to give us a challenge, and the only way we can challenge ourselves is to make it more intense, more exciting, do crazier things, and that's exactly what we've been doing. It's very scary, I mean, I sometimes, that's what you heard. I fear for Tom, and I've said many times, are you sure you want to do this? And and have discussed seriously with him the dangers of what he's about to do, and he's always very sort of confident and sure about it. But you know, I was relieved to get a call that he broke his ankle, not that it was something else. You know, it says a lot about this film that you can look at a text that says Tom's broken his ankle and say, oh, thank God. You know. I mean, the ride, you know, it's 2.5 hours and it goes by like that. And it's for me, it epitomizes everything that you would want from a summer blockbuster. You know, it's fun, it's engaging. It's not just lights, you know, it's characters that you care about, situations that you can get involved in. And it's a thrilling experience to watch it. I'm so proud of this movie. I'm amazed how it's come together. I didn't expect it not to. I'm just surprised how well it has.
It feels so good on both accounts. You know, it was such a great honor to be asked the first time to be a part of it. And then I think I got that call from Christopher, and he's like, you know, we're thinking about bringing Julia back. And I was like, really? And so it was a really big surprise, but I was so excited by it, and really getting to work with him and, you know, getting to work with Tom again. But it was really exciting for me because I'm a fan of the franchise myself, and there was like a part of me that felt like there was some unfinished business. You know, I was like, wait a second, what really happened? So it's been really great to be able to explore that once again, and it's just been it's such an exciting franchise for me to be a part of. Well, everything. I love that there is no one like him that is dedicated in whatever moment that he's doing, whether it's a stunt, whether you're, you know, this close to each other. He is locked in, he's committed, he's dedicated, and you know, he brings out truly the best in you as an actor. You know, when I first worked with him, I hadn't worked that much, and we had obviously a very great on-screen connection. I felt really comfortable with his work, and then over the course of the years, I got to work with a lot of great actors, and then coming back to work with him, it reminded me that he really is the finest. He's the finest to work with, a real pleasure, and I've learned a great deal from him. Oh my gosh. My gosh. What am I most excited to see? You know, is truly once again all of the great stunts that are real, as we all know. And again, as fans expect and know, all these great locations, all these spectacular cities that are global, that fans get to see shot in their own backyard. I think that's such a huge aspect of why the franchise has been so popular. And I think that we get to see a different side of Ethan, you know, a side that's a little bit more human, it's a little bit darker, and he's kind of confronting some demons here. So that's exciting.
It feels amazing. It's a very exciting one because it's such a good movie. I watched it the other night and I just thought it was amazing. I was on the edge of my seat for the whole ride. But because it also took a year to shoot. It was a full year of my life with a moustache for this movie. So I'm excited to be here finally to show the world. I felt very privileged to join that cast, especially when you've got McQuarrie directing and writing and Cruise at the top, obviously, and this well-established, fantastic performance cast. And it was, for me, it was kind of like being at school. You know, every day I just got to learn a whole bunch of stuff and get paid for it too. Signing on to this movie, I thought was a wonderful opportunity to actually do the stunts myself. And it's the kind of thing which is a learning curve. And I'm now leaving this project thinking there's so much in the way of skill sets that I have to learn. There's only so far that physicality can take you with stunts. You've got to actually know how to fly helicopters, for example, or fly planes. And so helicopter license is next on the ticket. Well, the whole movie, really. But if I were to narrow it down to one thing, I would say the helicopter sequence. That's pretty cool.
I know, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was hard to wrap your head around initially because, you know, this is this is a franchise that I have enjoyed, that's been around for 22 years, and to work with Tom Cruise in any capacity, you know, as an actor, you know, you hope to, or maybe it's so lofty that you don't even hope that. But so I was thrilled. I am thrilled. Here we are. in front of the iconic Eiffel Tower. Henry Cavill and I shot here, you know, early morning dawn as the sun is coming up, the cool of morning. I believe it was April in Paris, you know. It was a very special time of year, very special place with wonderful actor, and it was the first scene that I shot, so it was great. He walks up behind me, I have to sense his presence, then I tell him what I need him to do, what I expect him to do, and that's to keep an eye on that Ethan Hunt. I'm excited for them to see the whole of it, you know, especially those who've loved, you know, the past missions. And, hey! Well, you see how nice he is, you know. I stepped off, he came back, you see how gracious and beautiful he is. It's just indicative of what the entire shoot was like.
It was a real honour and a pleasure, I'll be honest, working with McHugh and Tom and Henry and everyone else. You know, you join a franchise, they're a preset family, and you kind of somehow got to find a way in, and they were incredibly welcoming, and yeah, made for a huge amount of trust that we could work from, and hopefully that translates into the film a little bit. So I mean, from the first mission, it wasn't where you're dangling from your ceiling, and you know all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's kind of canonised, if you want, into film history. So it's like, yeah, it could. I had a ton of fun. It's you get a license to do things maybe that you can, you know, stretch your character around a little bit, maybe try. And sometimes being a bad guy isn't about shouting and screaming. It's about maybe just whispering in someone's ear, just a little bit more menacingly or something, you know, yeah, or just whatever. So it's you get a lot of scope to play with, and as an actor, that's all you can ask for, really. So. An education, if anything, I'll be honest. He's so focused, so fastidious, incredibly driven about what he does. Everything has to be on point before you even start, and continually doctored and altered as we go through. And yet, for someone who is so, in a sense, rigid with or clear with their thought process, on the other hand, incredibly flexible as well. You know, if we've got something to say, there's many scenes in this movie which we created pretty much on the fly, like out of what we were shooting. We're like, okay, well, let's improvise this and try this and try, and before you know it, we're coming out with something that was far better than was ever scripted, I think. So, the start, then the middle, and then the end, all of it. You're in for a wild ride. So it's enjoy.
We are at the Trocadero in Paris, in front of the Eiffel Tower, which people may recognize, and we actually shot a scene right over there with Henry Cavill and Angela Bassett. It's one of the pivotal scenes in the movie, and this was a location we wanted to come back to and celebrate the city. Just that. It's all the locations we get to go to, all the people we get to meet. There's some very good food. I like food. But more than anything, just being able to celebrate the locations where we go. And for anybody coming to see this movie, we take you to a place you may never have been. The answer is in your question. You can expect the most stunts in a Mission Impossible you're ever going to see. But it's also a more emotional, more character-driven movie. It's a slightly darker, slightly grittier Mission Impossible.
How do you...
I wish I knew. It's a lot of it just comes from a little conversation about Tom saying he wants to do something in a helicopter someday, and we don't rush to do it right that minute. We just talk about it, and it's floating around. And while we're talking about this story, we said, well, hey, the helicopter would work here, or the halo jump would work here. And as a result, lots of big stunts that we had talked about all ended up in the same movie. Any one of these would have been the stunt, and they're all in here together. The characters, just the team, and really just the story, and the fact that this is that what Tom insists upon, and what I really love is visual storytelling, classical visual storytelling. It is the most fun and the hardest work ever. He really pushes you to do your very best and to do more than you thought you were capable of. And when I started my career, I never imagined I'd be directing one of these movies, let alone two, let alone this big. So, that comes from working with Tom. I'm most excited for them to see Fallout. I can't wait for them. I'm really proud of this movie, and I just can't wait for them to see it.
first thought fear, and then the second thought was a dream come true. It's really just, it's been part of my life since college watching it, and it's one of the biggest films in the world. So, and everybody, most importantly, knows that tune, that famous Mission Impossible theme. So being able to touch it, it's just a dream come true. So it's fantastic. I hope we have. I hope we have. I think you sit there and you just remember how that famous theme is used constantly in commercials, or it's part of folklore now. So I think that you just start. You watch the film and you just see how it's a darker film. So there's the themes have to be manipulated more than they ever have in any of the other ones. So they sort of, yes, they do sometimes. Yes, they do. No, I think that there's because we're seeing a different side to Ethan that we've never seen before. So his theme